Okay, here we go. You ready? All right, let's see. Set ourselves a little timer here. Where were we? Do you think the Evening Star people are involved in kidnapping Grandpa? Kendra asked. Grandma shrugged. Possibly. I hope not. If so, it was done with great subtlety. There are powerful limits to how any outsider can intrude on a preserve, and our preserve is more secret than most. Grandma opened a drawer and pulled out a rolled parchment. Unrolling it, she revealed a map of the world. Large dots and X's were located on diverse portions of the map, aside from the labeling of major cities. The X's mark fallen preserves, Grandma said. The dots mark active ones. Fablehaven isn't marked, Kendra noticed. Sharp eyes, Grandma said. There are 37 active preserves noted on the map, and 5 unmarked preserves, of which Fablehaven is one. Even among those most trusted in our community, very few people know about the unmarked preserves. None know of them all. Why? Seth asked. Special artifacts of great power are hidden on those 5 preserves. What artifacts? Seth asked, excited. I cannot say. I don't know most of the details myself. The artifact here at Fablehaven is not in our possession. It is guarded at an undisclosed location on the property. Evildoers, particularly the Society of the Evening Star, would like nothing more than to collect the artifacts from the hidden preserves. So there are many reasons Fablehaven must be protected, Kendra said. Grandma nodded. Your grandfather and I are prepared to give our lives if necessary. Maybe none of us should go after Grandpa, Kendra said. Can't we get help? There are some who would come to our aid if summoned, but I need to stop Muriel and find your grandfather today. Nobody could reach us that quickly. Fablehaven is protected by secrecy. At times, this becomes a hindrance. I do not know what spells bind Bahamut, and I am certain that, given sufficient time, Muriel will find a way to unravel them. I must act now. Grandma slid off the stool, walked down an aisle, opened a trunk, and withdrew an ornate box embossed with vines and flowers. From the box, she removed a small crossbow, not much larger than a pistol. She also took out a small arrow with black fletching and an ivory shaft and a silver head. Cool, Seth cried. I want one. This dart will slay any being that was ever mortal, including the enchanted or undead, if I can lodge it in a lethal place. Where is lethal? Kendra asked. The heart and the brain are surest. Witches can be tricky. This is the only talisman I am certain will slay Muriel. You're going to kill her? Kendra whispered. Only as a last resort. First, I will try to have Hugo capture her, but the stakes are too high for us to sally forth without a failsafe. If the golem should unforeseeably disappoint me, I lack the skills to subdue Muriel myself. Believe me, the last thing I want is her blood on my hands. Killing a mortal is not quite as grievous a crime as killing a mystical being, but it would still dissolve most of the protection afforded me by the treaty. I would probably have to banish myself from the preserve. But she's trying to destroy the whole preserve, Seth complained. Not by directly killing anyone, Grandma said. The chapel is neutral ground. If I go there and kill her, even if I can justify the act, the protection of the treaty will never again be mine. I heard Dale shooting guns and stuff the night the creatures came through our window, Kendra said. Creatures were invading our territory, Grandma explained, regardless of the reason. By coming into this house, they surrender all their protections. Under those circumstances, Dale could slay them with no fear of retribution, meaning his status under the treaty would remain secure. This same principle could work again if you were to venture into certain forbidden areas of Fablehaven. If you were thus stripped of all protection, It would be open hunting season on Kendra and Seth, which is precisely why those are prohibited. I don't get who would punish you for killing Muriel, Seth said. The mystical barriers that protect me would be lifted and the punishment would naturally follow. You see, as mortals, we can choose to break the rules. The mystical creatures that seek asylum here are not afforded that luxury. Many would break the rules if they could, but they are bound. As long as I obey the rules, I am safe. But if I lose the protections afforded by the treaty, the consequences of my vulnerability would inevitably follow. So does that mean Grandpa is alive for sure? Kendra asked in a small voice. They can't kill him or anything? Stan has kept the rules pertaining to bloodshed, and so, even on their night of revelry, the dark creatures of this preserve would not be able to kill him, nor would they be able to force him to go to a place that would enable them to kill him. Imprisoned, tortured, driven insane, turned to lead, maybe, but he has to be alive, and I have to go after him. And I have to come with you, Seth said. You need backup. Hugo is my backup. Seth scrunched his face, resisting tears. I'm not going to lose you guys, especially when it's my fault. Grandma Sorensen embraced Seth. Sweetheart, I appreciate your courage, but I'm not about to risk losing a grandchild. Won't we be in just as much danger here as we would be if we were with you, Kendra said. If the demon gets loose, we'll all be fried. I mean to send you away, off the preserve, Grandma said. Kendra folded her arms. So we can wait outside the gate until our parents get back, tell them you were killed by a demon, and insist that we can't go to the house because it's really a magical preserve that has fallen into darkness? Your parents do not know the true nature of this place, Grandma said, nor would they believe without seeing. Exactly, Kendra said. If you fail, the first thing Dad will do is go straight to your house and investigate. Nothing we could say would keep him away, and he'll probably call the cops, and the whole world would find out about this place. They wouldn't see anything, Grandma said, but many would die inexplicably. And actually, they could see the cow, even without the milk, because Viola remains a mortal being. We came in handy with the trolls, Seth said, and no matter what you do or say, I'll follow you anyways. Grandma tossed her hand. Sincerely, children, I think all will be fine. I know I described a dire scenario, but things like this happen on preserves from time to time, and we normally get them resolved. I don't see why this would be any different. Hugo will mend the problem without serious incident, and if it comes to it, I am a crack shot with the crossbow. If you will just wait outside the gates, I'll come for you before it gets too late. But I want to see Hugo pound Muriel, Seth insisted. If we're supposed to possibly inherit this place someday, you won't always be able to protect us from danger, Kendra said. Wouldn't it be a good experience for us to watch you and Hugo handle the situation? Maybe we can even help. Field trip, Seth cried. Grandma eyed them lovingly. You kids are growing up so fast, she sighed. Chapter 16, The Forgotten Chapel. We'll read just a page. We got like a minute left. As the sun hesitated above the horizon, Kendra stared out the side of the wagon, watching the tree streak past. She remembered staring at trees out the window of the SUV on the way to the preserve with her parents. This ride was much noisier, bumpier, and windier, and the destination was much more intimidating. Hugo pulled the oversized rickshaw. Kendra doubted that a team of horses could have matched the tireless speed of his loping strides. They reached an open area, and Kendra saw the tall hedge that surrounded the pond with the gazebo boardwalk. Strange to think that Lena had once lived there as a naiad. Before they had boarded the wagon, Grandma commanded Hugo to obey any instructions from Kendra and Seth. She told Kendra and Seth that if things went wrong, they should make a hasty retreat with Hugo. She also cautioned them to be careful what they told Hugo to do. Since he had no will of his own, the punishments for his actions would fall upon the heads of those issuing the orders. Grandma had changed out of her bathrobe. She was now dressed in faded jeans, work boots, and a green top, clothing scavenged from the attic. Seth had taken great satisfaction in her choice of a green shirt. Seth clutched a leather pouch. Grandma had explained it was full of special dust that would keep undesirable creatures away from them. She told Seth he could use it in the same way he had used the salt in the bedroom. She also warned him to use it only as a last resort. Any magic they used would only lead to less tolerable retribution if they failed. She had a pouch of dust as well. Kendra was empty-handed since she had not used magic. Grandma said it would be a mistake for her to start now. Apparently, the protections of the treaty were quite strong for those who totally abstained from magic and mischief. The wagon jolted over a particularly rough spot. Seth caught hold of the side to avoid falling. He looked over his shoulder and smiled. We're hauling. Kendra wished she could be so obliviously calm about the whole thing. She was getting a sick feeling in her stomach. All right, we'll read more tomorrow.